Well, guys, with Avengers Endgame now behind us and Spider-Man Far From Home out in the distance, I'm going to be ranking all 22 MCU films. Now, just to let you guys know, full disclosure, it's not all going to be in this video. This is going to be a two-part video because I want to take time and actually talk about these, and I don't want to have to rush it all into like this giant 30-minute video. So it's going to be broken up into two. I'm going to rank number 22 to 11, and then tomorrow I'll do the second part, which will be ranking the top 10. And also, I just want to let everybody know that this is my personal list. I don't expect you to agree with my list. This is the way I see these movies. I know everybody sees these movies differently. Just because I have certain movies in a certain spot doesn't mean I feel like this movie is horrible or anything. This is not a definitive list. This is just my personal list. Everybody's going to have their own list, and I encourage you guys to put your list in the comment box below. So without further ado, I'm going to stop rambling, and then we're going to go in to number 22, which is SpiderMan Homecoming. SpiderMan Homecoming comes in at number 22 for me personally, only because I feel like it doesn't feel like a Spider-Man movie. It feels like they're taking a Spider-Man character and just really trying too hard, really, to make him Iron Man Jr. They made a lot of changes to the Spider-Man mythology, changes that wasn't really necessary. I understand that the MCU takes things and they change it all the time to make it fit within the MCU, such as, you know, in the comics, Hank Pym creates Ultron. In the movie universe, it made more sense for Tony Stark to create Ultron, and I'm okay with that. But when you take characters like Genki and their lead and role swap them into one character, and a character like Mary Jane Watson and Michelle, who was roommates of Peter Parker later on in the comic books, and they role swap them, at this point, why? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you want to make Mary Jane different ethnic, different, race, that's fine. You can make her Hispanic. You can make her African American. I don't care. Just make her Mary Jane and give her the red hair. Why are you taking their leads, who's the Hobgoblin, and turning him into Genki? What's wrong with Genki? Why couldn't you just call Ned Leeds Genki, who's actually what he's supposed to be? So I just don't understand. That movie doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It makes Peter it doesn't make Peter look smart. Peter Parker is someone who's an intelligent young man who's able to come up with his own solution to problems, and in this movie he's constantly just relying on Tony, and for that reason it just doesn't appeal to me. So that's why I'm ranking it at number 22. Coming at number 21 is Thor Dark World. This is the movie that's probably on a lot of people's 22 spot, but for me, because I care so much about Spider-Man, I had to put Spider-Man at number 22. Thor Dark World wasn't a good movie. I didn't care about the Dark Elves. To be honest with you, I forgot about most of the plot of this movie. This is the only movie in the MCU I have only seen once, and to this day, I still don't care to go back to even revisit it. Maybe someday I'll go back and rewatch it. Just nothing in this movie really appeals to me. I think the first Thor movie was an amazing film, and this movie was just a step down in my opinion, and is definitely the weakest in that trilogy. So that's why Thor Dark World comes in at number 21. Coming in at number 20 is Iron Man 3. And the reason why Iron Man 3 comes in at number 20 is because of the same reason with Spider-Man Homecoming, is they take the character and they change things just to change. It doesn't make any sense what they did with the Mandarin. Making the Mandarin a terrorist who's going after Tony Stark and doing these bombings made sense, because it's a callback to what happened in the first Iron Man movie, where these terrorists took Tony Stark captive and wanted him to make a missile for them, and we see that they had the 10-ring banner behind them, and to take the Mandarin and lead it back into the first movie I thought would have been smart, but instead, they decided it would be funnier for some reason to make Ben Kingsley an actor playing this fake Mandarin, and then have this other character be the main villain of the movie, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work in any way. I just didn't care for the movie. I thought Iron Patriot was a waste of time. Just what they did with Pepper, when I describe Iron Man 3, it just feels like a waste of time. The whole movie is a waste of time. That's why it comes in at number 20 for me. Coming in at number 19 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm a big fan of the first Ant-Man movie. It was a surprise hit for me. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it. Ant-Man and the Wasp just seemed like a step down. The whole time we're just trying to get to, Janet inside the quantum realm. And again, one of the problems I think with late phase 3 movies is they take the comedy and they overdo the comedy in the movie. And they really kind of overdo the comedy. Lewis felt like he was just over doing it in the second movie. I didn't care about the plot of the film. I didn't care about Janet. I didn't care that they were on the run. I didn't care that these stupid characters like the FBI and this other character were all just trying to find him. And like so much of this movie, I just didn't care. And Ant-Man and Wasp, I recently rewatched it last week, and I kind of feel the same about it. I think it's an okay film, but when you compare it to the first one, it just doesn't hold up. So that's why it comes in at number 19. Coming in at number 18 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Much of my complaints are the same with Ant-Man and the Wasp. They take the comedy of the first movie and they overdo it in the second film. There are a lot of points in this movie where there's some dark stuff going on, and we can't sit there and really dwell on it because they're so quick to jump into the next joke. When Peter finds out that his father gave his mom brain cancer, it was supposed to be a moment that was really heartbreaking, but 5 seconds later, we have Kurt Russell turning into David Hasselhoff, and they were supposed to, like, why are you doing that? Why are you telling this joke? We just found out that you gave his mom cancer. You are the reason why his mother died. Why are you then going into a joke? They took a character like Batista, who I thought was very menacing, yet funny in the first one, and made him just a complete goofball, a complete just comic relief character. Never once did he have that intensity of the first film where he was driven to destroy Thanos. He was just a bumbling reject in the first one, or in the second one rather, and those problems are one of the reasons why I'm ranking Guardians at number 18. Coming in at number 17 is going to be Iron Man 2. This was a movie that I did not like at all when it first came out. I remember on my old channel, I just bashed this movie to no end. But looking back at it now, after seeing all the MCU movies together, this movie was really the starting point to catapult all these other characters. We got Black Widow, we got more Nick Fury, we got more Coulson, and they really started building the universe within this movie. And you go back and look at it now, I think it's one of the rare movies in the MCU that aged well. A lot of movies, when you watched them at the time, they weren't that great. You go back and watch it now with all the stuff that we know, it makes it a better film. The MCU, the other 21 movies made this movie better, but it's coming in at number 17. Coming in at number 16 is The Incredible Hulk. I love this movie a lot. I think this is hands down the most underrated film in the MCU. I like Edward Norton. I like Liv Tyler. I think this is a fantastic movie. You go back, rewatch it. It's so good. It really is. It's so good. But a lot of people just forget about it because Mark Ruffalo took his place in Avengers, and we never heard of Ed Norton again. And they only referenced that movie a couple times. And I just think it's an underrated movie, but it's so well done. But coming in at number 15 now is the first Captain America. Captain America, the First Avenger. I think it's an okay film. It's an okay origin story. I think when you just compare it to the other films in the trilogy, that the first one is, usually the first one in the trilogy is the better one. In this case, the first Captain America movie is just doesn't even touch the other two in its own trilogy, but it's a great starting point. I think Chris Evans was perfectly cast. I love the movie. Just when you compare it to the other films, it just doesn't, stack up as high as them. That's why Captain America comes at number 15. Coming in at number 14, guys, is Doctor Strange. This was a surprise hit for me. I remember when they announced Doctor Strange. I remember when they announced Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther. I'm like, well, I'm not going to go see those movies. I'm not interested in any of those characters. I don't know anything about those characters. And I remember going to see Doctor Strange. I was like, oh, this is insane. Like I love the whole Inception, magic. I love Juatel Ejiofor. Everything about that movie surprised the hell out of me, especially since my girl Rachel McAdams was in it. I think Benedict Cumberbatch did a fantastic job as Doctor Strange, and it just surprised the hell out of me, and it's still a film I go back and re-watch. Coming in at number 13 is the first Ant-Man. Just like Doctor Strange, it was one of those movies like, I'm not going to go see this because I don't care about Ant-Man, and then the trailers hit me. I went to go see it, and Baskin-Robbins Always Finds Out. It's a movie that I loved, I enjoyed. It had great tension. I liked the heist element behind it. I think the comedy worked. They didn't overuse it, and I just think it was a good origin story. Even though it does take elements from like Iron Man, I still think it's a good origin story. Coming in at number 12 is Thor. I can't tell you guys how much I enjoyed this movie. I don't know if it was the combination of the score or the story, but I like the idea of this fish out of water, this character trying to find himself to prove that he's worthy. This is a character that all he cares about is just killing and war, and his father casts him out to Earth, and he has to find himself and become worthy. I like the whole element the shield played in it. I liked the score. I liked Loki. I liked everything. The special effects of Asgard, everything in this movie was fantastic. I think a lot of people don't give Thor, the first one, enough credit as it deserves, but I enjoy the shit out of Thor. I think it's a fantastic movie, and that's why I got it at number 12. Coming in at number 11 and wrapping up this part of the ranking will be Iron Man, the movie that started it off. I just watched Iron Man a couple weeks ago. Fantastic movie. I do think it falls apart a little bit at the end in the third act, but the first hour is a great setup. You really start to feel for Tony Stark. He's a character who makes his money causing damage, profiting from war, and he realizes this is bad, and he tries to do something about it. I love this movie. Jon Favreau, Robert Downey Jr. started the MCU with this movie, and it's a fantastic movie. That's why it's coming in at number 11. Well, guys, that is my top 22 to 11. Be sure to come back tomorrow and check out my top 10. Once again, this is my personal list. Everybody's list is going to be different. This is not a definitive list. This is just a list of my personal favorites, the way I rank them. But be sure to leave your list in the comment box below. Until next time, as always, I'm Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.